Here's the next topic. Folks, it seems like business owners are maybe getting a tool that's going to give them an advantage, possibly an edge. A new business checking account is being introduced, which will simplify money management. And as a small business owner myself, I'm certainly interested to hear about this. Our next guest is Gene Marks, the president of the Marks Group, a writer for Forbes and the Huffington Post. And Gene joins us next here on the Ringside program. And Gene, good morning.
Hey, Jeff. How are you today?
Very good. Thanks for being with us. So,
thanks for having me on.
You write regularly for these publications, and what do you normally address in your columns?
Well, I write all about small business management stuff. So you had mentioned you're a small business owner. I'm also one as well. I run a 10-person company outside of Philadelphia. And, so during the course of running my business over the past 15 years, I come across a lot of things that help or not help me kind of make profits. And I write about it. And hopefully people read it and they learn something about it. But it's very selfishly motivated.
Good. Well,
what I write about is stuff that'll help me,
And by doing that, you're probably helping a lot of other people. Now, it's a tough environment for small business owners, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it depends on the industry that you're in, depends on the region that you're in, but it's not it's a very slow growth economy right now. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. There's, again, depending on the industry you're in, there's a lot of regulation out there, which is why business owners, really both big and small, are hoarding more cash now than they ever have because people are trying to sit back and make some decisions as to what they want to do.
And, Gene, because they're hoarding cash, because they're not making decisions, they're not growing, they're not hiring people, and isn't that one of the reasons why our unemployment rate is still stubbornly high, 9.2%? That's the official rate. My contention is you got to look at the underemployment rate. You got to look at people who have stopped searching. You got to look at people doing part-time jobs, doing 2 and 3 jobs, trying to keep their head above water. So I think it's a lot worse than just that 9.2% figure we hear about.
I actually agree with you, and if I can point out to you and even your listeners, like I wrote my column in Forbes actually on Monday. It was titled 9.2 unemployment. Maybe we should blame Microsoft for that. And the reason why I blame Microsoft is just tongue in cheek, is because technology is causing a lot of business owners to hold back on hiring because it's enabled us to do things with less people and outsource a lot more. So you're absolutely right. The economy itself, slow growth, regulation, uncertainty, that's holding people back. But it's a new environment that we're in right now, and people are spending less money because of technology. So that's another thing to consider. The bottom line is, though, Jeff, is that we've got a lot of money in our bank right now, and a lot of my clients that I talk to are trying to figure out what to do with their money. And, one thing that's come to my attention is the Dodd-Frank Act has just celebrated its first-year anniversary.
Okay.
It celebrated just yesterday. And there's a regulation that's part of the Dodd-Frank Act called Regulation Q, and that officially expired yesterday. And that has an impact on all of the 20 to 30 million small businesses that are out there.
Tell us a little bit about that, if you could, Gene.
Well, sure. I mean, for years, 75 years, banks were not allowed to give us interest in our checking accounts. So you must know this. If you've got a checking account in your business,
right.
You can't earn interest on it. So the bank says, oh, well, you've got to open up a money market account or an investment account,
right.
And you're sweeping money in and out, right? And it's a pain. It takes extra time. And I've always been like, well, why can't the banks pay interest just on my checking account? And as it turned out, the law didn't allow doing it because during the Depression in 1933, the government wanted businesses to have certain accounts for checking and certain accounts for investments, so to spread the money around and to spur them to kind of help the banks do some investing at that point in time. So Dodd-Frank that went into effect a year ago, and on yesterday the Regulation Q part of it was repealed, which now says, look, banks can now pay interest on regular checking accounts.
Okay, now here's the question.
It's fascinating to watch how the banking industry is responding to that.
They can, but how many of them are actually going to be doing that?
Yeah, it's such a good question because it really tells you a lot. So far, what I can see is only a few are doing that. I mean, I've been talking about Capital One Bank to my clients. I mean, they're a perfect example of a bank that jumped on it and said, you know what, we're going to pay interest to our customers. Like they have a product called Clear Interest Business Checking. So if you're a customer of Capital One Bank, you've got your accounts, your checking accounts, and you've got that Clear Interest Business Checking account, you're getting interest on it right away. I can't speak for all the other banks that are in the industry, so whatever they're doing, but it's interesting to watch which banks are kind of jumping right on that now and saying, you know what? We're allowed to pay you interest now, and darn it, we're going to do it.
I actually have a Capital One small business account. Does that mean I'm going to be starting to receive interest, or do I have to change it over to a clear interest business checking account?
Well, without talking, knowing specifically what account that you have, you definitely have to have that clear interest business checking account.
Okay.
So all you want to do is give a quick call to their, your customer service guy, and they'll tell you right away what needs to be done. I do know that if you don't have that specific account, transferring over to the clear interest business checking account is a really easy thing to do.
But here's what I also
and it's really, again, for all business owners, why wouldn't we be doing that?
Gene, I also know this. I mean, I get a little interest on my personal account, and it's like pennies. I mean, it's so minimal because, the interest rates are so low.
Yeah, interest rates are low. And in Capital One situation, they're offering market-leading interest rates. So they're going to give you the highest interest rate that you could possibly get in your area. But again, all banks are restricted by what the economy is. Interest rates are very low.
Right.
Having said that, Jeff, you and I, we're the same. I'm assuming, you've got money in your business checking account, which hopefully is a little bit more than you've got in your personal account. And I don't know, even if you were earning $50, $100, $500 a year in interest, it's still a lot of money for both of us. At least it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I certainly would want to, if you're not earning it now, we're all entitled to do it by law, so we should be doing it.
Well, I'm glad you're bringing that to our attention because I don't think a lot of people knew about it. And anything that can bring us some more money and give us maybe a little bit of an edge is good to know about. As far as, go ahead.
I'm sorry, go ahead. No, I was just going to say that it's funny because people are talking about the debt ceiling debate that's going on. People are talking about, regulation, which is fine to talk about. But, the real news is that this Regulation Q, got repealed. That's real news. And so while all of us are kind of hoarding our money, trying to figure out what we're going to do and where the economy is going, this is like a way that we could be earning more money, like right now. So I was I just thought it was something that was really interesting to talk about with a lot of clients of mine.
No, I'm glad you're doing it because you're raising a good point. People have that money in there. They don't know whether to invest it in the stock market, don't know whether to invest it in real estate since that's so problematic right now, don't know whether to bring on any new employees because they're worried about costs involved with that, don't trust where this economy is going, so they're just sitting on it. And now, at least while they sit on it, they can make a little bit of money.
That's exactly right. And also on top of that, everybody's trying to cut costs and keep overhead as low as possible. So, the time that's spent by at least my bookkeeper every week transferring money back and forth between accounts, at least we can save some time there and have her do something a little bit more, productive, like maybe calling up customers and collecting money.
Now, Gene, before I let you go, as far as small business owners out there, we know, I guess, percentage-wise, most small businesses that do start actually fail, if I'm not mistaken, within their first few years. What's the most common mistake that small business owners make?
Not keeping their overhead low, like overspending from the very beginning. And it's not just small business owners and small money, but it's guys that raise money from venture capital, or they have investors and they're flush with cash and they think to themselves, oh, I've got plenty of money to spend, so let's go top shelf on everything. The guys I know that survive the longest, that really make it, are the true penny pinchers. Not that they're cheapskates, but they really have to be proved they're going to get a return on investment for any dollar that they spend. So have no shame. Cut costs and keep cash in the bank as long as possible, because in the end, the guy with the most dollars there wins. And I see that being the biggest mistake that people make is they overspend at the very beginning because they want to pretend that they're bigger than they actually are. It's okay if you're not. It only matters how much cash you have in the bank.
Great advice, Gene, and really appreciate you joining us. Hang on if you could, because we want to get your information for our podcast page for folks to go and learn about what you're advising for small business owners and make sure that people can read your blog regularly. Gene Marks joining us. He's a writer who's written for Forbes, Huffington Post regularly, also president of the Marks Group, telling us today about something big. That is the Regulation Q repeal, which has prohibited benefit for small business owners to receive interest on checking accounts since 1933. Now we'll be able to make a little bit of interest. Anything to help in these tough times. Jeff Kruger here. More coming your way. It's Ringside.